I think it's very important that on AI there is a global discourse and a global action. Many things are happening. We have been working in the OECD context for the definitions of AI. We have worked in UN for international dialogue. We have worked in the G7 for a code of conduct on generative AI, and we work with the transatlantic partners that has recently seen in the US the start and the emission and the decision on the executive order of President Biden. And the EU is giving its contribution to this with an AI Act, the first ever law on AI in a horizontal manner, which is different from the approach that we see in other parts of the world, where we see codes of conduct, recommendations, voluntary agreements. We are putting a law that will protect citizens from risks of AI and also help the businesses to thrive in a context of trust building and of respect for fundamental values. We want this model to not just be a final point of arrival, but rather a starting point. We think that this idea of a more fundamental rights-based approach with risk reduction, with attention to the fundamental rights of people and of our society at large, is something that can be adopted, can be understood, can be shared at a broader level. That is to some extent a groundbreaking moment for the building also of a legislative digital initiative at European level, a digital single market and a digital sovereignty of the European Union. Some complex issues on the table, like what rules to give to the most powerful models, to the generative AI, and what to prohibit, because we also want to say that some use cases should not be done at all, like use for surveillance, social scoring, the predictive policing, so that we can make the use of AI really safe and enlarging opportunities for everyone. Then we have some time to gradually adapt to the new legislation. It will not come into force all of a sudden from one day, but it will be adapted by an anticipated compliance that will be accompanied. We will accompany businesses, developers, users to adapt to the new legislation so that everyone can be ready for when the full set of rules will be applied. To be honest, I do not believe in the idea of the pause of the developments of AI that has been advocated for by some academics, some CEOs. I think it's unrealistic and might hide other ideas. This call for waiting for decisions on systemic risks, existential threats that AI might pose, in my view, could hide the willingness not to look at the actual risks that we have today. We need to concentrate instead on both dimensions. The larger picture of the AI impact on the whole world, which has safety and cybersecurity and existential issues for humanity. For example, if AI proliferates as a weapon without control. But that's one dimension that should not be put in contraposition and should not lead to stops to technology or to legislation, while we instead look also at the other dimension, that is the domestic risks of AI, the risk for discrimination of people when they are hired or fired, when there is the use of AI in the cognitive development of children in schools, cybersecurity and data appropriateness, the environmental impact of AI development. These are just some examples of what we deal with the AI Act, and we want also to look at these dimensions. So let's not forget that AI can be at different levels, and to stop its development completely, it's not realistic and maybe not even desirable. Instead, we need to look at the different needs of regulation and rules where they are needed, and to find also a global consensus. It's very important that we continue working together so that at a global level we understand a minimum set of rules that can be shared globally on what could be done and what should not be done with artificial intelligence.